It's about 7:15, and I'm resisting getting out of my sleeping bag right now. I'm tired. I did not get a good night's sleep last night. Temperature-wise, it wasn't bad last night. It didn't seem to get too cold. It felt like it was kind of maybe it get down to the 40s. I think it wasn't terrible. But you know, immediately after dark, the moon came up, and it's a nearly full moon, and it came up over the lake, and so I had this spotlight. I had this spotlight beaming into the tarp for a good 3 hours, and then the wind came up. The wind changed directions, and was now sort of, I think it was coming this way, because it wasn't quite blowing into the tent, but it was blowing into the tent enough to start chafing my face. So I had to wear my buff over my face all night to prevent it from. It felt like it was, you know, like a burn almost. And that actually, maybe that's what kept me warm, because I felt so much warmer with it on. But then, you know, it was also one of the most amazing nights I've ever spent in the Sierra. I mean, that alpenglow last night was amazing. The camera, the video won't do it justice. I looked at the video; it doesn't do it justice at all. And then all the clouds moved away, and about 2:30, you know, I could look out and see the stars, and it was amazing. And that's one of the things that sleeping in a tent all these years that I've missed is actually being able to see the stars. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start doing more bivvying, because I haven't bivvied in like 10 years. And this, you know, this is sort of a mid-range compromise between an actual bivvy and being in a tent. I mean, it feels like I'm in a tent. It doesn't really feel like I'm bivvying. But to be able to wake up at like 2:30 and see the stars, and I gazed at the stars for about 30 minutes last night. I really miss that. You know, when I'm car camping, I can do it because I can see the stars out of my car window, and I can see the stars through the moonroof. But yeah, it was nice. And I slept in batches. I don't know if I actually really slept. It was more like 3 hours of a dream state, and then I'd wake up, and then 3 more hours of like a dream state, and then I'd wake up. And the reason I know it was like that is because I was laying here thinking I was fully awake, but then you know how when you're dreaming you trip over something and then your legs go all crazy, and so I'm laying here thinking I'm awake, and then all of a sudden I felt myself trip over something and my legs went crazy. So yeah, so I'm a bit tired today, a little sore. The wind is bad. The wind is worse than it was yesterday. I'm hoping that when the sun comes up, it's coming up now. It's just hitting the top of the bluff. I'm hoping when the sun comes up, it will knock the wind down, so that, you know, the fishing might be halfway decent. I will probably, I don't know, if I get out of bed at 7:30, hit the latrine, eat, and then pack up my gear. You know, maybe I can have all my gear packed up by 9, which will give me an hour, maybe 2 to fish. I'm not sure if I want to leave at 11 or maybe sooner. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I guess I better get out of my sleeping bag and get moving, because when you're packing your stuff up, time flies, and I do want to get some fishing in. So another gear guide item that I didn't talk about yesterday is this Ultravitals Ultralight Pillow. They sent these out for free. I think it was basically, you know, one of those, send us your email and we'll give you this, because they wanted an email list. But whatever. They're handy, they're lightweight. We took them to Nepal, and they work pretty well. Oh man, look at those waves. That is really something. Huh, well, who knows, could be to my benefit. So the sun's up, but the wind hasn't come down any, and the temperatures haven't come up. It's supposed to be, I don't know, 7 degrees cooler today than it was yesterday. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head out where I was last night and maybe fish that for a half hour. As you can see from the waves, the wind is blowing in this direction, which means that it should be blowing the food in this direction, which means that all the fish should be on station. I shouldn't say all the fish, which means that there should be a lot of fish on station on this side of the lake. But since I fished this yesterday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish it really fast, maybe spend 30 minutes, and then I'll head out to the other portions of the lake. Okay, maybe this wind is going to do me some good after all. First cast, and I'm into my first fish this morning. Now again, I got this sight fishing. I could see this fish from the bank. I threw it out in front of him, kept it shallow, and did a fast retrieve, just like yesterday. Now my visibility overall is going to be fairly poor. The waves are making it tough. He just happened to be high in the water column. Again, looking for food on the surface like they were yesterday. Okay, so I just hooked another fish. Yeah, they all seem to be, I mean, at least here, they seem to be in among these rocks along the bank. Unfortunately, he went airborne on me and I let him get off. The wind is making it nearly impossible to cast. Okay, so these fish really seem to be liking the still water today. That's the third fish I've hooked. And again, I mean, the wind is pushing all the food to this side of the bank. I mean, you can see all this flotsam right in here. And these fish seem to be in these rocks, just waiting for food to come by. Casting is difficult, but it seems I really don't need to get out that far. I just need to get along the bank. But even that is challenging. With me catching all these fish so close to the bank, I'm casting out maybe 20 feet of line, not letting it sink. I mean, you can see I'm not even getting a good decent cast. Maybe not letting it sink and just starting my retrieve immediately. And what I'm finding is the fish will come up from underneath the rocks to hit the fly. And you can see, I mean, that's a super short cast. I mean, right now I've got maybe 10 feet of line out, and where I'm hitting fish is right about, this point here before I go to recast. There we go. I've picked up 4 fish here. I think I want to move on. Oh, there's a fish right there. I can't tell which direction he's pointed though. And I snagged the tree behind me. Okay, I've moved over to the shallows and let's see if I can spot any fish in here. I'm not seeing any fish over here, but it's hard. It's hard to see with the choppy water. And that, you know, that works in my favor as well because they can't see me. I've cleared camp and finished packing. I'm not going to get that much time to fish. I'm going to head over to that other side of the lake, but I'll probably only fish 30 minutes before I start heading out. I've tied on just the stillwater nymph since the fish seem to be taking the fly really shallow. I've taken off the beadhead. Now, my theory is that the beadhead has been attracting them. The splash of the beadhead in the water has been attracting them, and then they've been attacking the stillwater nymph. We'll see what happens on the other side of the lake. All this looks like it could be decent, presuming the fish are hanging out in the rocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my pack here, and then I'm going to fish along this bank, and then we'll see what time it is, and I'll work my way up the bank. So I'm going to start off fishing the stillwater nymph without the beadhead. If I don't get any interest, don't see any fish following, that sort of thing, then I'll tie on the beadhead and see if that was, you know, was attracting them. Now the stillwater nymph is weighted, or should be weighted, with lead. It doesn't sink that fast, so I am going to do a short countdown before I start the retrieve. And the reason I say it should be is because I purchased these from a fly shop. I didn't purchase these from Denny Rickards, so I don't know if they're properly tied or not. And typically I'm fishing it with the beadhead, so weight isn't an issue. Okay, so I've put on the black version of the soft hackle beadhead, and the retrieve I've decided on is 2 short pulls with a long pull, pause, short pull, long pull. In other words, a pull that resembled what was attracting them yesterday, and then a pull that was reminiscent of what was actually inducing them to strike. I'm going to start off with, there we go. So what I was saying, I'm going to make a series of 3 casts. 1 cast in that direction, 1 cast straight ahead of me, and 1 cast over here. Each cast will be at different depths. The first cast, as soon as the fly hits the water, I start my retrieve. I'll do that 3 times. Second cast, 5-second countdown, start my retrieve. Third cast, 15 seconds start countdown, start my retrieve. Now you can see I got a strike there. And that was when it first hit the water, which is kind of what I expect. I expect it to hit the water with a splash and then start the retrieve and for fish to take it. I've moved up the bank. Hopefully this is good. I didn't see any fish down there. I made a dozen casts. Except for that 1 take, nothing. I've not seen any fish in here. I'm not getting any takes, and that really surprises me because this deep bouldery water is perfect for the fish to be hanging out, especially with the wind coming this way. The fish can hang out in the boulders where there's relatively little current coming, and then all the food that's in the water is being pushed along this way. Now another tactic I could use, because I really do think there are fish in here, is to cast my fly out to that deeper water and then just let it sit there and hang with the current. And as it's sitting there, it's going deeper and deeper, presumably visible to anything underneath the rocks. And that can be effective. It is a little tedious. It's not my favorite way to do things. But sometimes it works. Anyway, I'm going to be moving up the bank, and then it's about 10 to 11, and then I'll be heading out. Okay, I'm on the point now. It's a really interesting rock formation, big drop off. I really wish I had more time to fish it properly. There's so many different ways of fishing this. I did see 1 fish come up from underneath the rock there
small fish. It followed my fly in, but I'm not seeing any active fish anywhere around here. Okay, I'm fishing the point proper now, and I got a strike. I missed the hook set. I think what I'm gonna do is, it's 11 o'clock, so I'm gonna throw 6 to 12 casts in here, and then I'm just gonna work my way up the bank looking to sight fish. I've been willing to prospect this morning because of the high winds and the fact that I found those fish under those rocks, hoping that was the pattern to follow. But now that it's late, I'm just gonna revert to sight fishing. So as soon as I finish fishing this, I'm gonna work my way up the bank for 15 minutes, see what I can see, come back to my pack, and then head out. Well, I'll tell you, I am really surprised by the habitat around here. I really did. I know I've said this a bunch of times, but I really did think this would be mostly, just granite and not have all this vegetation. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. I should be going back. It's 11:30, but the tarn is right there. So I'm gonna make a beeline over there. There's an inlet there. Maybe there are fish stacked up there. I've not seen any active fish along this bank. You could spend all afternoon dapping your fly along these drop-offs, and I don't have time for that. So hit the tarn and then head out. First fish I've seen all afternoon. If I can keep an eye on it. So I can sneak down there. Whoa! Oh, I lost it. Where the heck did it go? I can't tell where the head is. There we go. Hot diggity dog. And there you go. That's probably the best fish I've caught since I've been here. Yeah, that's maybe 8 inches, maybe 9. There we go. Frigid water. That's looking a little marshy. I'm just gonna stand here for a minute. Hopefully the wind will die down just a second so I can see if there are any fish in these flats. I'm not seeing any fish, but I think what I'll do is I'll throw a cast out along this line between the flats and the deeper water. Okay, that was just in case there were, there's some active fish along that line that I can't see. Doesn't look like there are. Cool. I made it over here. And I'm not seeing any fish. Well, I made it over to the tarn. I don't have my waders, so it's pretty marshy here. I'm not gonna bother exploring over there, but I'm glad that I made it over here. I was hoping to catch one more fish before I left, and that just goes to show you that sometimes you got to move to find active fish. So it's 11:45 right now. I'm gonna head back to my pack, and then I'm gonna head out. Okay, so pretty sure my pack is right over there. Let's figure out the path of least resistance here. If you're a solo trekker like me, then the one thing that you probably should always have on you is your emergency satellite beacon, or the spot. I don't have mine on me, but if one of these rocks should happen to slip while I'm on it and I get trapped, I'll be hating life. So that's just a reminder to myself for next time to make sure that I'm always carrying the spot. You can see what I was saying yesterday about the rain. You know, if it had rained last night and these boulders had been wet, there's no way I could have gone to the far side of the lake. It just would have been too dangerous. Time to head out. I should be able to take the same route out that I took in. That seemed to work fairly well. I'm not going to do any exploring. I'm not going to try to find a better route. There's the saddle that I came up. So I just got to go over that, and then once I do that, it's pretty much all downhill from there. I remember from yesterday, it's easier for me to go around this hump and then to the right and then skirt over. Maybe it's not so bad if I just go down and go back up. I mean, it's less distance. Doesn't look terrible. I'm gonna have to make that elevation anyway. I'll do that, what the heck. Okay, so now all I gotta do is zigzag my way up to the saddle, avoiding any deep gullies, which I know there's one there. So I think if I can head straight, bear to the left a little bit, and then head back to the right, I think that might work. So now if I can stay high, if I can just shoot straight for the right side of that tall pine, I think I'll be okay. Made it to the pine, and now it looks like all I need to do is skirt here to the right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go up to, I don't know if that's a fallen tree, whatever that black timber is. I'm going to head for that, and then I'll reorient. Looking back on how I came, it is so deceptive. Everything blends in. It looks like it's all one rock, but obviously it's not. Okay, not so bad. All I need to do is traverse across this way. I may need to go up to the right and then go over, but that wasn't so bad. And what do you know? A couple trail ducks. There's a duck there, and there's a duck way up there. It's all downhill from here. So I'm just following the straight line all the way down. I could have come down through here and walked through the forest, but I know I've got to be over to the left, so I might as well do this. It's pretty sure though I want to be right in the dead of those trees right there. So that's where I'll go. Okay, so the tricky part is going to be finding my way through here. There were plenty of drop-offs there, and they just stacked up like an accordion. So it's going to be tricky to weave my way back and find the exact spot that I put in at. Okay, pretty sure this is how I came up. I came up some steep bluffs, so let's see if I can find a a more gradual descent. Yeah, nothing about this looks gradual. But you can see there's another creek that creates a canyon. If I got my bearings right, this is where I crossed the creek. Let's see. Now I stashed what I think is some fatwood over here. Unless, did I stash it over here? There it is. Now I think, if I peel all this back, I think this will be fatwood. You see how this tree here has fallen and died and disintegrated? Well, the pieces that haven't disintegrated yet typically have fatwood in it. So I was looking for what I thought the base of the tree was, and it looks like maybe the tree was here and fell this way. And I was kicking around. Can you see that? After all that crumbly stuff comes apart, there's a good chance there might be some fatwood in there too. And you can see here, it looks like it might be resin. Might be. I don't know. I don't know how productive these, you know, from a fatwood standpoint, these types of trees are. Got a couple of these stumps. Break them apart and see what's what. While I'm taking my break, let's see if any of these things have fatwood in it. I'm just gonna baton down the center, bury this a little bit, and see what there is to see. This is a Randall 25-6. Looks like a little bit. I'm not getting a strong smell from it though. Looks like a mixture of resin and just wet wood. Yeah, it's interesting. It looks like there's resinous pieces surrounded by punky pieces. So a little bit of resin, but maybe not as solid as we might want. Might be worth taking home, see if it'll start fire. Yeah, okay. Let's try one of these. Yeah, this might be worth taking home and cleaning up. This is all wet. Okay. Yeah, see. That looks a lot better. This one actually smells. Yep, this is the one. This is the piece I want. I'll process that one piece down at home and see if I can get anything from it. None of them really smelled very resinous, so presumably this type of pine, you know, isn't great for fatwood. But one of these days, I should come out here with my axe and you know, just check out all this fallen timber and see if I can gather some fatwood. I definitely need some. So I'm looking at this so-called fatwood that I picked up over the weekend to see if it's actually worth processing down. It doesn't look very resinous. Thought I would just quickly process a piece down, take some scrapings, see if it'll start a fire, and if it does, then I'll take the time to process the other pieces down and get some good pieces out of it. If it doesn't, then I'm just gonna toss it. Like I said, it's hard, but it doesn't smell or look very resinous. Okay, that's just a little bit, but that should be good enough. Well, that lit up a little bit, but I suspect that's more because it's thin shavings as opposed to really being fatwood. If it was decent fatwood, I would have gotten fire by now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, but that's not... I'll try another piece. I think this lighting up has more to do with it being thin shavings than it really being fatwood. Yeah, so that's going up, but again, I think it's because of the thin shavings. It's not the ease of combustion that I'm looking for.